Healing Depression for Life is the topic with our next guest. Dr. Gregory Jantz has a brand new book out called Healing Depression for Life. And this doctor has dedicated his life over 30 years to understanding and treating depression so he can help all of us out. In the 90s, he pioneered whole person care, credited by many today for lasting depression treatment. So we are going to talk to him right now about what this book can do for many, many people. Welcome, Dr. Jantz. Thank you for being here.
Hey, it's good to be with you, and we've got a really important topic today. So thank you for having me.
Oh, we're so excited to have you. And this is one of, don't you have like almost 40 books already?
Well, this is number 39.
39.
And, I put my life's work into this book.
That's outstanding. So this is an innovative whole person approach where you sort of focus on the individual. And I understand you also have, there's so much to talk about with you. You have a treatment center that's made you one of the top 10 depression treatment facilities there are because of the work you've put in with this whole process you've got.
Well, we do believe that there is hope, and we stay with it. We see everybody as a 1,000-piece puzzle, and part of our job is put together those pieces to the puzzle, and it's the whole person. You know, what happens when people seek help for depression, they just do one single approach. Like maybe I take a pill, I just do one thing, and I hope for the best. But we've got to do a more of a whole person approach. There's usually multiple pieces to that puzzle that we've got to put together. So that's what this is all about. That's what we've been doing. This is our 36th year. I don't look that old, do I? This is our 36th year.
Not at all, and I like how your glasses match your coat. I'm a little...
Okay, there we go.
It's really good. It's really good.
Very good.
Oh, doctor, it's outstanding, though, because it really is something where you can tell you pour your whole heart into it. And I understand that you come to this from a Christian psychology point of view. Is that right?
We have a foundation of faith,
right,
and we always take this and go, okay, for long-term results, we feel that we need to look at the whole area of the spiritual side of our life. We come at it from a Christian point of view, but we also serve people no matter what they believe. We want to embrace that side of our life, as well as, of course, the physical side, nutritional, body chemistry, as well as the relationship side, intellectual. So we're going to look at the whole person.
Sure, and you're not ignoring the science, because science goes along so much with what the Bible says, I know.
Absolutely.
And so the fact that you're doing chemical, emotional, physical, yes, food, sleep, all that is so great. And I know for many people of faith, it'll yes, give them, they'll rest assured, because people, you know, yeah, people, well-meaning people can say, yep, why is this affecting me? Why is this depression happening? Yes. Is it something I can pray away? How much emphasis, yep, should I, yep, put on pills and talk therapy? So I'll bet it's very well received by people from, as you say, all walks of life.
And that's our desire. We want to be very, if you will, user-friendly. One of the things that we know is sometimes if you're depressed and you feel despondent and you feel that despair, you don't feel like anybody loves you. You don't feel lovable yourself. You don't feel like, how could God even love me? Because that depression really robs reality. Depression robs the truth of who you are. And we really do look through the world through those lenses of depression and at times hurt and anger. And a lot of times folks will say, you know, God doesn't love me. God couldn't love me. I wouldn't be suffering from depression. So that we've got to work through that. A lot of times there's the question of forgiveness for people to work through as well. So that's one of the pieces. Not always, but if you've got hurt, resentment, bitterness, okay, let's just say if I'm going to treat depression, I want to clean everything up in my life. So sometimes forgiveness is a part of that.
Dr. Jantz is a licensed mental health counselor with a doctorate in counseling, psychology, and he is a world-renowned expert and innovator in the treatment of behavioral disorders and addictions. Again, his new book, Healing Depression for Life. And so just sort of reiterating that for our TV viewers and radio listeners. And Doc, we're going to keep you after the break here in a couple minutes to talk more because I want to talk about how food and sleep play into it.
Oh, good.
But can you address what's the first thing you do when you sit down with someone, and then we'll talk about what they can get out of the book as well. There's just so much good stuff to talk about with you.
Got it. When we sit down with somebody, first of all, we really want to know them. And a lot of times I'll ask a person, well, what is it that you haven't been asked before? Just like the other day, a gentleman said, well, I've never been asked. I asked him and said, well, what do you put in your mouth? He goes, well, 20 years of suffering from depression, nobody's ever asked me what I put in my mouth. Mm-hmm. And I'll tell you what he was putting in his mouth. This guy was up to 10 pots of coffee a day.
10 pots?
Pots.
Oh my.
Okay, now I'm in Seattle, right? Uh-huh. A little bit of caffeine is required to live here.
Sure.
But he really, honestly, he drank coffee all day. He worked from home, and he says, well, you know, Dr. Jantz, they're just those home pots. They're a little smaller. And I thought he was saying, small cups, but he was talking about a 14-cup pot of coffee, getting himself over time, drinking 10 of those a day. Do you think he'd have depression? Antidepressant. Yeah. So there you go.
Right, and there's so much. I mean, I bet everyone you sit down with, you can nail it. Whether it has to do, like you said, sleep, nutrition, something like caffeine or alcohol. If they're in just a weird place with their job or family or anything like that. I mean, depression is as individual as we are.
And that's why we need to look at it as an individual. That's why we need to look and go, okay, everybody's got different pieces to the puzzle, and let's respect and honor each person and go, okay, well, what are those missing pieces? And we begin to put them together. That's why we do things as a team. Everybody coming to us, they have their own individual team, and they're putting together a team of people to help them, of professionals, because it works best that way. And I'm still, really, it's been 36 years, I'm still passionate and excited about what we're doing because I see lives change for good. And I see people who have suffered for depression or anxiety. It's been 20 years or it's been longer. And the pieces of the puzzle have finally come together. So there is hope. And there's some hidden causes of depression hopefully we can talk about too here in just a few minutes.
Yeah, for sure. And just a few more seconds before the hard break. But so you've been doing this long. There had to be something that made you want to go in to this realm.
Yes. You know, one of the things that really caused me to want to do this was I made some mistakes as a counselor, as a helper. I made a lot of mistakes years ago. And I really had the helper's disease. I said yes to everything. I burned myself out.
Oh, yeah.
And I couldn't hardly wait to get home and, have my half gallon of ice cream as well. I was not practicing what I was preaching. Okay, this is actually the mid 80s, so it's been a while. And it took me a year just to rebuild physically. And I said, we're going to build a program, because there hasn't been really very many good answers for depression. We're going to build a program of success.
Okay, we're going to be right back with Dr. Jantz and how we can remedy our sleep hygiene to try to be a first step in healing depression, and also, like we talked about, nutrition, all kinds of stuff. We're going to be right back talking about this very important topic. You're with America Trends on the U2 America TV network and on Biz Talk Radio. I'm Amy Fuller. For decades, standard treatment for depression has not changed. It boils down to pills and talk therapy. Sufferers typically are prescribed these things, and at least 30% of depression sufferers are not helped by any of these standard treatments. That is why we are glad to have Dr. Gregory Jantz along with us. He is the author of a new book, Healing Depression for Life. He wants to help people find true and lasting relief, and he offers a new way forward, and he's been working on this for decades. Welcome back, Dr. Jantz.
Okay, good to be with you. Yes, there is hope.
So what is that? What's the first thing you tell people who say, boy, you know, I went through and I understand the chemical stuff in the brain and talking and all this, and I just can't, you know, move past that wall of getting better?
You know, and that's fairly typical what we see. And it takes a little bit of time. We have to feel, okay, it probably got me, you know, some time to get here. It's going to take a little time to get out of this. But one of the things we want to do is, first of all, we're going to test for any nutrient deficiencies. Does this person have some significant, let's say, vitamin B deficiencies? We're going to test, our doctors here are going to test for even like food allergies. We're going to look at hormonal levels. You mentioned sleep a couple times. I used to work in sleep research, and I can tell you the role that sleep has in depression. So we may do a sleep study. We're going to look and go, okay, could there be sleep apnea where you stop breathing during the night? Because sleep apnea can create depression and anxiety. We're going to look, too, even at technology use. We find that the more people are deep into technology, you know, all that extra time online is not helping when they're full of depression. So these are just some of the things we're going to start looking at. But we also want to look at just relationship history. Was there some early trauma in one's life? We see a fair number of folks who come to us and they really are suffering post-traumatic stress disorder. Maybe they had some early significant abuse, whether it's emotional or physical or sexual abuse. And they've had this history that's never really been dealt with. We know that early trauma can alter brain and body chemistry, for example. So those are just a few of the things we're going to look at, and there's a lot more.
I love that you do the background in sleep. That has to be such a great tool in your arsenal for helping people, because even people who don't have depression or mental illness in any way, they can just be grumpy because they're not getting enough sleep. And did you call it, was it the term sleep hygiene? Was that yours? I love that.
Yeah, well, we look at sleep hygiene. How well are you keeping your sleep clean, so to speak? You know, what's your pre-sleep routine? We know if you're online, you know, an hour before going to bed, and you have all that what we call blue light and different things that's reactivating your brain, overstimulating you. We know, for example, that may cause melatonin levels even to be off, and melatonin is a natural hormone that your body needs to release for sleep. We may also see that what you're viewing online. Now, that's for some a little bit tough to talk about, but what am I putting in my mind generally, and what am I putting in my mind before I go to bed as well?
If 30% of people are not recovering, so to speak, from standard treatments, which again are, you know, whatever pills, I mean, SSR. Well, we hear, you know, back in the day, in the late 80s, early 90s, everything was Prozac, and can a pill solve all these things? Now we know a little bit more about it, what it can and can't do, I suppose. But that standard therapy, along with talk therapy, is there a specific key besides those two that you can usually go to and say, this just might be the thing?
Well, as far as medication, so we do use, let me just reference, we do use medication. We see it, our doctors here generally see it as a bridge to help a person for a period of time while we're looking at other things. We see so many folks who are coming to us and they've you know tried every medication, and they're still not really at the place that they know they can be, and they're unhappy. So we're going to respectfully use pharmacology, but we're going to begin really quickly to look at what are some natural interventions that we can intervene with. You know, it may sound strange to say, but of all times in history, this is the best time to be suffering from depression. We have more available to us than ever before. We even do something called IV nutrient therapy. So where the doctor will do blood work, we're going to look at nutrient levels, and they're going to give you an IV based upon your individual needs. Do you know, things like that where we're replacing nutrients, rebalancing body chemistry can have a huge effect on one's progress. So that's just one more thing that we do.
Yeah, they're all good tools, the talk therapy, the medication.
Oh, yes.
Right, along with everything you're doing to assist with those. Interesting. And your facility is called A Place of Hope, is that right?
We're A Place of Hope. Actually, it was our clients or our patients that named us A Place of Hope. We were known as the center, and through client surveys, clients kept writing, well, this is A Place of Hope. And so we kind of changed our name based on our client feedback.
And where is this, and what can people expect if they are thinking this might be something for me?
Right. Well, we're in a suburb north of Seattle, and we're in a beautiful, somewhat a little resort community called Edmonds, Washington. And we're right near the waterfront. And part of what we do is we do a real thorough evaluation before somebody comes. We're going to gather a lot of information, generally on the phone. We're going to actually begin to put together a plan before a person arrives. So we've picked out a team and some initial planning before somebody arrives. So it's a little different process. It's a little different process in that everybody's schedules here is different. It's just based upon what your needs are. So that would be different than a normal treatment center.
It has to be so fulfilling doing what you're doing. Where can we find your book, Doctor?
Well, the book should be available your favorite online retailer. You can always visit us at aplaceofhope.com, aplaceofhope.com. And there's also a really good depression survey. That's a free one, a private one that you can take right there online.
Oh, so many people listening or viewing right now might not realize they have the symptoms that can add up to, hey, if you just take a few steps and get help, it could really improve your life.
And look, we might as well do it. It's one of those things, there could be some great answers for you. Make today a day of decision. I'm going to do something different.
Great final words, Dr. Gregory Jantz. Will you keep us posted on all you're doing, sir?
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
You bet. We'll see you next time. It is Healing Depression for Life.